And good evening, everyone. This is John and Sean with Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. This week we are joined by NFL Chaos with Jeremy. We are kicking off our new series called We Need to Talk. It'll be our off-season show since there was no football game this week besides the Pro Bowl. We wanted to go ahead and start creating this show. We'll have topics. We'll tweet out our topics every week on what the show's going to be. But Sean, how are you this evening?
I'm good, John. How are you?
Good, good. And Jeremy, we introduced you, but how are things out on the West Coast?
Alive and kicking. No, it's nice and sunny. It turned out to be a nice day today. Just got home from work, so I'm happy about that. And let's talk some football.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we'll tweet out a picture every week with the topics. This week, our topics are Tom Brady retiring. It was a bigger story at the beginning of the week. Jim Harbaugh had a couple interviews. News of Brian Flores lawsuit coming out. Of course, we have the Bengals and Rams getting ready to play the Super Bowl. And the Pro Bowl is this week as well. And anybody in the chat, post a question or a comment, and we'll get to those as well. But Sean, since this is our first week doing this show, I will let you pick the first topic, and we'll go from there.
I think we got to start with the GOAT right at the top. Brady retires. I mean, that's I wouldn't say it's a second big dropping on the offseason so far. Well, since the regular season ended, but with Big Ben retiring and then Brady retiring, I mean, and then Aaron Rodgers and kind of out there on what's going to happen with him. So it'd be interesting to see what happens if he ends up retiring as well. Because if Rodgers were to retire and have Brady and Big Ben all gone, that's three quarterbacks that have run the league. And since I believe what was it, 99 when Brady came in, 04 and I think was both Big Ben and Aaron Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be weird not having Brady on the field next year. I mean, he's almost been playing as long as I've been alive.
Right.
I was 4 years old when he first started, and now I'm going to have to relive my first year of being a fan, knowing what's going on, and Brady not being out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Tom Brady he played 22 years in the NFL. In those 22 years, he played in 10 Super Bowls, winning 7. He won 3 MVPs, 2007, 2010, and 2017. And he announced his retirement, even though he led the NFL in completions, passing attempts, passing yards, and touchdowns this year. So to me, it was kind of a surprise. As a Jets fan, I know we haven't had him in the division the last 2 years, but I was happy to see him retire. I agree. I mean, the last 20 he's been in the league 22 years, but I think he was a starter for 21 of those years and just got tired of him. It was time for him to go. Jeremy, you're a Jets fan as well. Your thoughts on Tom Brady?
We didn't like him. We're Jets fans.
Right.
Obviously, we didn't like him. I never had the personal thing against him until near the end with the whole ball late thing and the shady text and destroy the phone. And that's, but other than that, I actually, at one point, I actually respected him and thought he was funny. Like, I saw him, he once lit us up, I think it was opening day, and he lit us up for like 50 something points. And he's being interviewed, and all the Jets fans are still in the stands, a whole group of them just chanting, Brady sucks, Brady sucks. And he looks at the person interviewing him, and he goes, I love these fans. He goes, I just put up 50 on them, and they still say I suck. So it is weird. It's strange, especially with Drew Brees last year, Ben, Brady. It's like the passing of the guard, and you look at, Mahomes and Josh Allen and, these up and coming guys, and who's going to be those other 3 guys, and who's going to win Super Bowls, but it's being handed off to the young guys, and it's a change. It's like a changing of the guard, and and it's weird for even from a fantasy perspective because Brady was always that quarterback that you knew. Like he was one of those guys that anybody could pick it, because you knew what you were gonna get, that you were gonna probably get a decent guy who scores points. And so even from that perspective of playing fantasy football, it's gonna be weird because you don't have that solid quarterback that every year produces and is a solid performer for you.
Yeah. I mean, I agree completely. You think about it, like you mentioned there, Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning years ago. Big Ben Roethlisberger. You got Tom Brady now, possibly Aaron Rodgers. So it's like you said, the changing of the guard with quarterbacks, where all the younger quarterbacks are now coming into the league, and it's definitely a game changer for sure. For the fact that people that have been in the league for so many years now are finally hanging it up and moving on.
Yeah, agreed. Justin puts a comment in. Justin, thanks for watching. Justin's one of the owners in our Dynasty League. So thanks for watching. He says, amazing. Only 7 quarterbacks have beaten him in the postseason. I'm actually going through the list, and I've come up with 4. Can you guys tell me who I'm missing? I have Eli Manning, Mark Sanchez, Matthew Stafford, and Peyton Manning.
Nick Foles.
Oh, Nick Foles. Yep.
I know Foles, Roethlisberger, Manning.
Pittsburgh did beat them.
I believe 1 year. Both Mannings beat them. Both Payne and Eli.
Yep. So we have 5 of the 7. Justin, if you're still there, let us know who the other 2 are. Or Jeremy, but if you have a guess.
Flacco? Was Flacco one of them?
Flacco.
Jake Plummer. Justin says Jake Plummer.
Plummer what? I don't know if Jake Plummer beat him.
Who did he play for? Like at that point, wasn't he on the Cardinals?
Plummer would have beaten him if he played against him in the Panthers in the Super Bowl and he lost.
Right, but
2006.
2006. He's never lost to the Steelers.
So it's never been.
He said he's never lost to the Steelers. So
what about Flacco? Didn't Flacco beat him? I don't know if Flacco beat him that year. I remember though that crazy year when he broke Baltimore. So the Super Bowl.
Justin says Broncos. You're thinking of Jake Delhomme. Jake Plummer played for the Broncos. Yeah, I don't remember that.
No, I think Jake Delhomme played for the Panthers.
Yeah, no, that's what Justin says. We're thinking of Delhomme for the Panthers, but the Panthers didn't win that game anyway.
No.
So I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know who the others are, but some of the other stats I wanted to look over at Brady's career. He's the all-time leader in passing yards, completions, attempts, and touchdowns. Do you guys know which quarterback is second in all those categories?
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, that is correct. He is second to Brady in all those categories.
Wow.
Here's the 7 quarterbacks: Mark Sanchez with the Jets, Nick Foles with the Eagles, Ryan Tannehill with the Titans, Jake Plummer with the Broncos, Joe Flacco with the Ravens, Eli, and Peyton Manning.
Hey, I got Flacco.
Wait, give me the list again.
It was both Peyton and Eli Manning, Joe Flacco, Jake Plummer with the Broncos, Tannehill with the Titans, Nick Foles with the Eagles, and Mark Sanchez.
Well, then we'll have to update it to 8 because Stafford beat him this year.
Yeah, so then it would be 8. Yeah, Stafford beat him this year.
Yeah, so easy to think. But yeah, I mean, think of it. I mean, 22 seasons in the NFL and he played in 10 Super Bowls. I mean, that's what he was almost 50% of the time he was in the league. That's incredible.
Probably never happen again.
Probably not. But one of the other things I'm going to say something. So one of the things about there's always been debate since he left. Brady without Belichick and Brady with Belichick. What do you guys think it was? Your take, and then I'll give my take.
Well, he was the same with both because, like you just said, 50% of his career he made the Super Bowl and 50% he didn't. Well, that's what he did at Tampa. He was there 2 years, 50%. New England, 50%. So obviously, it didn't matter if he had Arians as his coach or Belichick as his coach. Half his years of his career, he would make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think we would have seen a bigger. It would have been more to compare if he would have left in New England a lot sooner and would have went to Tampa Bay and played, 4, 5, 6 years. Only playing 2 years, it's kind of hard to say what kind of career he could have had in Tampa. But for the aspects of the fact that he needed Belichick, I don't know if you could say he would if he needed him for his career because he's proven that he was a winner outside of having Belichick. But I think having Belichick early in his career definitely built Tom Brady to who he was overall as a quarterback and only helped him kind of grow, get better as his years were going on when he was younger.
No question. I mean, I think that there's just some magical combinations that happen, right, by chance in this world. And Belichick and Brady, I mean, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. I mean, there's just, John Lennon, Paul McCartney.
Right.
Things in
Yeah.
the world just happened, right? And it was just the perfect storm. It was the perfect storm of Belichick and Brady. And and you saw what happened.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what Brady, or without Brady being with Belichick and now Mac Jones being with Belichick, what does Belichick do to make Mac Jones's career change?
Right.
We saw what happened with Cam Newton when he was there that 1 year, and it didn't work at all because Belichick's used to coaching a young quarterback and saying, you're going to do this and you'll be successful. With Cam Newton, he already knew what he needed to do, and it was over. So I want to see what happens to Mac Jones. I'm not saying he's going to go win a Super Bowl now in his second year like Brady, but in 5 years, do they make an AFC championship game together? Do they make a Super Bowl run together? What comes about it? Or is Belichick's run as being a Super Bowl coach over now that Brady left back 2 years ago?
Right, and that's where I wanted to go. I looked it up. Brady without Belichick, which was the last 2 seasons in Tampa Bay. Brady was 24-9 and won a Super Bowl. And Belichick without Brady in his career is 71 wins, 79 losses, and 2021 was the first time Belichick took a team to the playoffs without Tom Brady being the quarterback. So to me, it was probably more Tom Brady. I'm not going to take anything away from Belichick because you still have to coach the teams. But I believe Belichick's legacy is more on the line now that Brady's gone, especially with that record without Tom Brady. What do you guys think of who it was, Brady or Belichick?
I've said to you before, and the long conversations we've had involving Belichick, I think Belichick, the only reason why he hasn't retired as a coach is he wants the most wins all time as a coach. Now he's already been committed this long, and he's the third all time. I think he only needs 5 wins or 4 or 5 wins, I believe, to get to second all time. And I think I think it would be like 3 overall years or 4 years at 8 wins average to get to all time. And I think once he gets all time, I kind of think then that's when he's going to say enough's enough. I don't need to prove it anymore. And by then, I think he's going to see what kind of quarterback Mac Jones ends up being, because I just don't think that Belichick is going to want to have to, if Mac Jones were to leave, Belichick wanting to restart over again with another young quarterback.
Right, and I did just look it up. Belichick currently sits at 290 career wins. which is third, like Sean said. Hallis is second at 318 career wins, and Shula is first at 328. So he's still 38 wins away. Which I mean, another year like this, he'd have to coach another 4 seasons to break that record. Which I mean, he's capable. I'm not sure how old he is.
I think he's 70.
I mean, he can get to that point. Yeah, he'll be 70 in April.
Yeah, because he keeps asking him how long into his 70s he'll want to coach. So I would say I wouldn't see him coaching beyond 75, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, if that team, I mean, if Mac Jones is that good, and they can win, 10, 11 games a year, he'll definitely get to that. He'll definitely break the record. So
yeah, you also
go
got to you also got to think about it too. Belichick's playing in a harder division than he played in his first 15, 16 years coaching with the Patriots. That division has only gotten harder with the Bills. The Jets are getting better. The Dolphins, we have no idea what they're coming about. And then the Patriots team went from being unstoppable to now they know they're beatable.
But I think that if anything, this year, it's not just this year, but the last 2 years proved to me that, and it always is the case. I mean, it's coach and quarterback. It's like everybody wants to pick one who was responsible. And it was both of them. They both helped each other. They both probably would have been very successful without each other. I think, I mean, but neither as much, right? Brady benefited from Belichick. There's no question. And there's a chance that Brady would not have been the same, more than Belichick not being the same, because he was young and they developed Brady. But I think they both would have been great, but they wouldn't. Again, it was the combination of them that changed history, right? And I think Belichick proved he's a great coach the last 2 years. I mean, the first year without Brady, they had nobody. That personnel was crap. Most teams would have won 4 games with that. Plenty of coaches would have barely won 4 games. So, I mean, he kept them competitive because he's a great coach. And then they added some talent this year, and he has a rookie quarterback. And there was a time we were like, oh, my God, is he going back to the Super Bowl? Like, he went on a run for a while there with a rookie quarterback. I mean, he's a great coach. And don't forget what he did with the Giants. I mean, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls with him as the defensive coordinator, and they won because of defense.
Right.
I mean, the guy is no joke. He's a winner. He's an amazing coach. He's a brilliant guy. And, like, we don't have to like him, but we can't deny, we can't deny that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think, like I said, I think when Mac Jones's contract ends in 3 years, I think that's when Belichick's going to know, what do I have as remaining left coaching? What do I have to do? Am I close to the record? Did I win 6 games in the last 3 years? Is it time to call it? I think that's what it'll be the deciding factor. Is if he's winning a lot, then he's staying. But if it comes down to it and he's not doing anything and he's just losing more than he's winning and he's having losing seasons, and I think that's when Belichick walks away.
Justin says, personally, I think Mac Jones is a decent quarterback. Not great, but they need to get Jones some weapons. I don't know. I like their offensive weapons they have. I think they need maybe not an upgrade. I'd have to look at their free agents at the running back position, but I think they might need a little bit more dependable running back. I don't know. I like their wide receivers, their tight ends. I'm not sure. I'll have to look to see what the Patriots actually need. But yeah, to me, Mac Jones, yeah, he is a decent quarterback. To me, he's more of a dink and dunk kind of guy. He's never going to be the guy if you're trailing in a game and need some big plays. You're down a couple scores and need some big plays. He's not. I don't see him being that type of guy to lead a team back. What do you guys think of Mac Jones?
I completely agree. Dink and dunk kind of quarterback. I mean, he's going to have that occasional 2 to 4 deep throws over 30, 40 yards down the field, but he's not going to be a Patrick Mahomes, Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers and throwing, deep balls, deep bombs, everything down the field. It's going to be 5-10 yards and let your receivers do the work.
Yeah, agreed. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like his ceiling is maybe, I mean, in my opinion, like a Alex Smith type of quarterback. Phil Simms, I grew up watching him. He was kind of a dink and dunk, like very accurate short passes. Could, sometimes would go deep, but it wasn't like the other guys. He couldn't do it like on a regular basis. I'll live on that. But I think like an Alex Smith is a really strong comparison. Like there's definitely going to be limitations, just like Alex Smith had limitations, right? And that's why I think you saw the Chiefs take off, right? Everyone thought, how they're crazy to get rid of Alex Smith. No, he was good, but he had limitations. And I think that Mac Jones will probably always have those limitations. He really ended up in a great spot because I think there's a lot of places he could have landed where he would have looked like the other rookies. Like he would have struggled and he wouldn't have looked as good as he looked.
Yeah,
agreed. Yeah, I agree.
So, all right, let's go. That was all for Brady. Jeremy, since you are our guest, I will let you pick the next topic. We have Harbaugh, the Harbaugh interviews, which really haven't come down to much of anything now that he's going back to Michigan. But we have Brian Flores news. We have the Super Bowl coming up. If anybody's interested, we can talk about the Pro Bowl.
I think the Flores lawsuit is something we should touch on.
Yes, absolutely. I actually printed out the lawsuit, and I've been going through it and highlighting some things. There's some things I have. I'm not gonna doubt there's any racism going on, but there are some things that to me have holes in the story. But Sean, let's start with you. What do you think of just the whole Flores situation going on?
I look at it this way. When Week 18 came about, all the teams kind of knew who was getting fired, who they were getting rid of at the end of the year. And the teams already had written down probably in their mind, all right, we're going to interview these 3, these 4, these 5 people, and these are going to be our candidates. There wasn't anyone that sat here and said, all right, well, Brian Flores is probably going to get fired after being a successful season with the Dolphins. He turned them around, 7-game winning streak after a 7-game losing streak. Like it was a game-changing year. Like it was a different outcome. Next year they can build on it. No one, I don't think, kind of guaranteed that Flores was going to get fired. So I don't think anyone really had him on his radar. And I think that's why you didn't really see or hear about Flores' interview. He's going here, he's going there. I don't think anyone was really expecting him to be fired to have to interview him. So I don't think anyone really was kind of going on the radar to sit here and say it. Now, do I get what he's saying where black coaches aren't in the NFL as much or in coaching as much? Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, the ones that want to leave their position and grow to be a head coach have all been interviewed this year. Where, I mean, not all of them are coming out saying, hey, I want to be a head coach. Like maybe some of them have wanted to stay where they are, where being an offense or a defensive coordinator, special teams, or being an assistant somewhere. Maybe they want to be, that's what they want to be right now. And they want to not take the next jump and then, one bad year and you're back to either being fired or not, or you're doing what you were doing before. So where I understand that the lawsuit's needed, but I also don't, where now all these other coaches are kind of coming out like, oh, this happened to me and this happened to me and this happened this day. It's kind of one of those, if it happened then, why didn't you come out and say it kind of thing? What took someone else kind of stepping up to say something? That's my only concern. I don't see how you can sit here and say, well, because one coach stepped up, we all need a step sort of thing. Kind of like with Deshaun Watson, when one person stepped forward, all of a sudden then 22 others stepped forward. It's like, what made you have to wait to want to say something? Like, I think that's why in the end this lawsuit's kind of just the fire is gonna burn out, and it's kind of gonna fizzle out, and it's gonna end up being what it is, and it's not gonna really change anything for how teams interview people or hire people. I think they're gonna still want to hire who they want to hire. They're gonna still interview who they want to interview, and that's gonna be the end result. I just don't think that suing 3 NFL teams and the NFL is gonna be a game changer or help Flores a situation as a coach.
Yeah, agreed. Jeremy, your thoughts on the lawsuit?
Yeah, I think it definitely is not going to change anything because at the end of the day, you can't tell an owner of a football team who to hire.
Right.
Like it's their business. It's now if you find foul play, and you find evidence of racism, that's a different story. I think the way to solve that problem, because there's nothing you could do, and you cannot tell an organization what they have to do and who they have to hire. It's just to look at the process of how people become coaches, right? They become interns in the college or in the NFL. They start, very low level. A lot of these guys, you look how many years it took them. They jumped, then they became assistant coordinator, a linebacker coach, and it's years of process. And say, is there something broken there? Right? Because everyone's acting like coaches are just ex-players, and it's not true. That's not the case. It's like it has nothing to do with their playing career. A lot of them, it was where they just finished college football, had a passion for coaching. So nobody shows those numbers. Like, we don't know what those numbers look like. Now, is there something that needs to be done at that level to give opportunity to people of color to jump into that world and have the ability to have the opportunity to do that if they're interested? Maybe, that's the way to approach it. And that's a good, healthy way of doing it, as opposed to trying to go to the end of the line and just say, hire a coach of color. Well, I'm going to hire the coach I think gives me the best chance of winning. And if that person happens to be a person of color, then that's going to be the person. I think the biggest part of this lawsuit, it's to me more like earth-shattering, if it's proven, is the Miami Dolphins owner offering $100,000 per game that he loses as a coach. That's what catches my attention, because if there's evidence of that, and if that comes out to be something teams do, we always talk about teams, losing on purpose and they get a better draft pick, but to actually hear, and if there was evidence that it's real, that an owner is pressuring their coach to lose for real, when you think about the millions and millions of dollars in Vegas and in sports books and in gambling, there's going to be lawsuits from that, man. People bet on these teams. And now you're finding, and what about season ticket holders who are promised, we're trying to win. The expectation is that you had a team that was trying to win. That's going to be what really blows up, I think.
Yeah, I think I look at it this way. If say the Dolphins were paying $100K, just like Hugh Jackson said that the Browns were paying a $50K to lose. If the money was coming randomly in your account, or you were getting randomly paid, you're going to sit here and say that you're going to say Flores and Bo Jackson both denied, hey, I'm not going to want to spend that money, or that money is there. Like, all right, well, what kind of comes about? But I think it comes down to it is your resume to be a coach. I'm not going to come bring an offensive coordinator that got 32nd best in offense this year, or defense. He was 29th best defense or worst defense. Like, I'm not going to want to say, all right, well, I want to hire him to be my head coach. Like, you're going to want to go out and hire someone that like was a top 5 coach on offense or defensive coordinator. You're going to want to bring those people onto my team. I'm not going to want to bring a guy that's already kind of been getting beaten up and not really he's not even a head coach yet, and he's getting beaten up. So why would I want to bring him on to be a head coach?
Yeah, agreed. There are some of the things that I highlighted in the report. Jeremy, you brought up the Miami Dolphins situation, paying the money to lose games. It'll be interesting to see what kind of evidence they have on that, if they do have any. I don't know if they've said who the quarterback was that the Dolphins owner had on the yacht as well when Flores turned away from the meeting. But the whole Giants situation, that's the one that kind of threw up some red flags to me. Flores was saying, the article says, thus on Wednesday, January 26, 2022, Mr. Flores was forced to sit through a dinner with Joe Shane, the Giants' new general manager, knowing that the Giants had already selected Mr. Dable. Much worse, on Thursday, January 27th, Mr. Flores had to give an extensive interview for the job that he had already knew he would not get. In an interview that was held for no reason other than for the Giants to demonstrate falsely to the league commissioner, Roger Goodell, and the public at large that it was in compliance with the Rooney Rule. Now, a couple things that I have in here. Now, I know in-house candidates don't count, so Patrick Graham of the Giants doesn't count. But first off, if he knew he wasn't getting the job, why go to the interview? That's the first thing. I don't want to hear about, well, it's still an NFL job. No, if you know you're not getting the job, cancel it. Don't go.
Yeah.
Don't go. That's the first thing. Then if Dable had been given the job already, as it states here, then why did on the 28th the Giants call Leslie Frazier back for a second interview, even before they interviewed Dable for the second time? So to me, that's where the holes start coming in on that story. I'm not going to say there's not problems with what the NFL is doing. As NFL Sucks says here, they have 129 coaching jobs he can remember from when it started, the Rooney Rule, but only 20 black coaches hired. Kind of weird. Yeah, there are things that can be done. I think one of the main things I think the NFL should do is the other companies are trying to start spring leagues. Why is the NFL not trying to start some kind of spring league to not only give other players some opportunities, but to develop some more coaches? Your guys' thoughts on what I said about the Giants with Leslie Frazier, and then maybe even a spring league like the I forget who's coming back this year, but I know the XFL will be back next year. But somebody's coming back this year. I forget who it is.
Yeah, I also think what has a lot to do with it is coaches that come from college and then come up into the NFL. You're throwing all these millions of dollars around, and I mean, not saying you haven't seen what he has done or could have done as being a coach somewhere else, but I feel like experience kind of needs to get thrown into where these coaches are getting hired from. You shouldn't be just, coming in the league. All right, I coached 1 year and you're going to throw out this much money. And then you're going to sit here and say, this is what's going to be about. I think for like teams that want to hire people, I feel like that not only their resume needs to line up, but they also need to have so much like experience. And then I feel like that would help teams also be able to hire, like say they hire a coach like Flores would get a job. He's going to want to bring, offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator. He's going to want to bring this person, that person. Like if they have an opening, I feel like the head coach also should be able to hire who he wants as a staff. So I feel like the head coach should have more control to his staff, what he has as a team. I'm not saying, you have 100%, you fire and hire who you want, but I feel like they need to sit here and say, hey, maybe we hire these 3 people for these 3 people that are here. I'd rather have my staff or have these people coaching under me. So I feel like teams should be able to allowing your head coach to have more control of who they're coaching around, because you got to remember the 18 weeks out of the year, not counting preseason, practice, and the off season and any playoff time, you're coaching around them. So you need, not only are you kind of knowing them like your family in the back of your hand, you're you're going to be around them a lot. So you're going to want to coach around them, and you're going to want to know who you're around coaching, and you're going to want to know what kind of things are going to come about throughout the season. Like, hey, this guy I know can do this. This person I know can't do this. So I want to try to get this person that can help me build my team into a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, Jeremy, any additional thoughts to what I had to say about the Giants or what Sean just said?
Yeah, I'll just say, the thing I personally figured out in education that a lot of interviews, they're just using you, like for assistant principals, principal positions. And I kind of would do research and investigate beforehand. And the big question was, when you got a call for an interview to be an assistant principal, was to find out from, if you had insiders, if it was real or not. Like, is there really an internal person that they're going to give it to? And they're just filling out the requirements of the states that they have to interview people from the outside, because I didn't want to waste my time. I didn't want to dress up in a suit and drive somewhere, 25 minutes and wait outside and sit there and go through the whole process. And I didn't go. So that part's a little weird. It's like, I don't think you can make a complaint and say they wasted my time and interviewed me when I didn't have a chance of getting the job if you knew you didn't. It's like you chose to waste your time.
Right.
But I think it's messed up of the Giants. Like, I think it's screwed up that the Giants would do it. Like, I think it's shady. Not that I think the Rooney Rule is stupid. Not that I'm for diversification, and I want there to be more opportunities for black coaches, and I want to see more black head coaches. And I'm a Jets fan, and we've done a great job in just hiring the best guy. Herm Edwards, we gave Tom Bowles, and I was excited about Tom Bowles, coming from Arizona at the time. And now we have a person of color in Robert Saleh. So, I mean, as far as our team is concerned, we've given opportunity and went for the best candidate. I don't know that you can't talk for every team.
Right.
So it's like everything else. I don't think it's, it could be each individual team. There might be teams that the owner inside, their closed doors is like, we're not hiring a black coach. And it's crazy to think out of 32 owners that doesn't exist. It probably does. But so that's why the Art Rooney Rule is kind of like, all it does is force you to interview someone of color. It doesn't force you to hire them. I don't know if that's really the answer, like you were saying, but I think that it's really shady that they brought him in knowing that they already had somebody else. And that's a weird thing, but it's also not something I could see you suing them over, because you knew that they weren't going to hire you. So I don't understand what the damage is. I couldn't imagine saying, yeah, you're entitled to money from them because they called you in on a job interview that wasn't real, that you knew wasn't real.
Yeah, I also think that would also determine teams tanking, teams losing, having your coach lose on purpose. I think if you say you lose 5 games in a row or something, you lose a draft pick this round. Or if you lose 10 games in a row, all right, you're losing this many draft picks. I mean, I'm not saying steal their first round draft pick, but say they have 3 second round picks, or say they have like 15 draft picks in the whole draft. All right, well, you're losing 3 of these, but you're going to lose 1 in this round, 1 in this round, and 1 in this round. Kind of like if you're going to lose on, we're going to at least make it that you're not going to sit here and keep getting all your trade capital for losing on purpose when you're purposely, intentionally losing these major games. Like, it's not high school. It's now you're in the NFL. You're in the top of the league in the world. So I just think that for teams that are purposely tanking or purposely losing, I think there needs to be some kind of punishment to like what's going on. Like, all right, well, this is happening or you're doing this. So I think that would be the best thing overall, is a punishment happens. And I think taking draft picks would be the best.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of evidence, if any, that there is of the money situation there, being paid to lose games to get a better draft pick. But Jeremy, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say they could switch to the NBA model, so there's less incentive to bust on purpose, and
Right.
they could do two different things. They could go to more of an NBA model where it's a lottery, and you have a better chance, but it's not guaranteed. And then on top of that, like with some of the marketing revenue, the TV contract revenue, give money to teams for winning games. Like a certain amount of money, so you have the combination of if we win these 3 games instead of lose them, I'm guaranteed to make some money. I'm getting some bonus for winning. And then at the same time, I'm not guaranteed the first pick by losing anyway. Like it doesn't get me the first pick. It gives me a better chance. But then I lose. So what am I going to choose? Am I going to lose on purpose and lose that money and then end up getting the 4th pick anyway? Or do I just try to win and get rid of this nonsense of teams tanking?
Yeah, I'm with you on the same thing. I mean, I think a lottery would be a game changer for sure. I think if you had a lottery, I think it would make it that even to say the top 3 teams get, all right, you have the top 3 teams get this percentage for this draft pick, and then the next so many get this percentage, and the next percentage get this percentage. I think it would make it that people aren't going to sit here and say, well, yeah, the 20th best team in the league gets the number 1 pick. It's unfair. Well, but it also would make it that, say, they get 1 ping pong ball where the team that lost the most games gets 20 or something.
Right.
Like it would make it that it at least makes it that the worst team in the league might get, if they have 6 draft picks, or I wouldn't even say 6, say they have 3 first-round picks. I think the Eagles have 3 this year. So say with those 3 draft picks, they could end up getting 1, 2, and 3 in the draft.
Right.
It could make game-changing decisions there. So I think that if you take either making punishments that you're tanking or losing this many games in a row by taking draft picks, I think that would make it changing. But I also think that if somehow, some way, you are having a lottery system, I think it would also make it changing. But I just think that you got to have an overall system that's not going to be able to get manipulated, and having that a team can force their way into making successful.
Yeah, agreed. Something. It will be interesting to see if something is done about the way the draft goes. I remember last year when the Jets had a chance at the number 1 pick. Some of the people on, I believe, ESPN who didn't want the Jets to get Trevor Lawrence were saying, "Oh, the NFL should change things up. They shouldn't let these guys go to these bad teams." Jeremy, any thoughts on maybe a draft lottery?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the teams that don't make the playoffs, I mean, I like that system, but I also think that we're like the whole Eli Phillip Rivers thing. Like we don't want to see more of that. Like
That's true.
something that's got to go away, because at the end of the day, we're gonna just like the whole point is we still need the teams that don't make the playoffs and the teams that are the weakest to have the best chance of getting the earlier picks, because that's how we get teams to turn it around. That's the way you build teams. And we can't just, you want teams like, Cleveland was competitive and had a chance. And you after being horrible, now you saw Tampa Bay, right? They've had runs where they're just awful. And now they just won a Super Bowl last year. That's a good thing, right? But you just want it to be, but at the same time, you just want to take away the incentive if you're 2-13 or of losing the last 2 games on purpose so you can get the better draft pick. And the only way to do that is we're not going to guarantee that you're going to get the second pick of the draft for doing that, or the first pick for doing that. You might get the 6th pick. You'll have more little ping pong balls, but that doesn't mean anything because all the other teams' ping pong balls combined are still going to be more than you. So, and at least we take away that that strategy and say, well, we may as well win, get some extra bonus money, win 4 games instead of 2 games, and we're still going to get a good amount of it doesn't. we still might get the first pick or we might get the sixth pick. It might change the chances a little, but we're not going to lose on purpose for a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think basketball teams, maybe a couple, and it happens sometimes, but not as much, are going to tank because it doesn't guarantee them anything to tank.
Yeah, I think that also it comes down to is that the people know if you're going into the draft. So like, all right, I'm a top 5 pick, and the top 5 teams are like the worst teams in the world. Why would I want to go there? Then you should have wanted a draft earlier or something if you knew you were this draft prospect. But you also got to look at it as, like you mentioned, the Bucks. They had a lot of bad losing years. They went from having those losing years. They went to the playoffs twice, won a Super Bowl. They lost the main guy, and now out of that, how many of these players are going to end up leaving in free agency or wanting to get traded because Tom Brady left, and they only came there because Tom Brady? Gronk. I know Chris Godwin's a free agent. Dominican Sue came there because he wanted to win a title. So it comes down to it is now, are the Bucks going to really be that bad again? Do we know? I don't know. Do they go out and pick up someone to make them competitive? Yeah. But they could be next year, they could go from being, a drive or two away from maybe being the NFC Championship game to being that they are now the number 1 overall draft pick again. It could happen. We just don't know, unfortunately, with the NBA or the NBA, NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Justin says if any of these are true, talking about the allegations, what does this do to Roger Goodell? Man, I don't know. It would. I mean, it would have to be proven true that some of these things are true or not. But then, yeah, I know a lot of fans don't like Goodell as it is. I don't know what the owners think of him. But do you guys think this will hurt Goodell in any way?
Yeah, I think it'll help him get booed a lot more than what he already does.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, you might get that. You might get 10 cheers out of every 100. So now you're going to get 5 people cheering out of every 100.
Gotcha.
So no, I don't think it does anything to Roger Goodell because he has no control over what these coaches or teams are doing.
Right.
He can't control all 32 owners. I mean, yeah, he can try, but I mean, the Washington football team, with the owner, Dan Snyder, what are we doing with that? He hasn't come out and said, all right, this is what's going to end up happening. At this point, if he had full control, I think you're suspending him until you know what's going on. Deshaun Watson, he's got 22 allegations against him. He didn't get suspended a game yet. So are you going to say that if nothing comes about that and he gets traded to a team, is he going to be allowed to start tomorrow?
Right.
Are you going to allow that? Because what happens if the Texans said if he didn't want to get traded out of the Texans, were you going to allow him to start all 18 games this year? Because I mean, if he had control, I think he's suspending players a lot faster than what he is. He's doing this. He's going to be more in depth and more into doing everything. I think Roger Goodell is more a fact of, all right, I'm gonna find this guy for taunting. I'm gonna find him for celebrating this way. Like you're finding people over silly things like cleats and what they have on their cleats for not wearing the proper socks.
Right.
Like you want to have the fans engaged and be happy with the game, then you got to have the refs on the same page. You got to be able to have that you're not going to get fined for doing something minor like socks or celebrating. I know when Tyreek Hill does the peace sign when he beats somebody, it's a $15,000 fine every time. Like, right. Come on, $15,000 for celebrating a touchdown. I mean, the guy was burnt toast. So what the heck? What was the difference?
Right.
he already burned him, so it's over. Like, what, is he supposed to? I mean, if Deion Sanders, Terrell Owens, all of them were playing nowadays, can you imagine the amount of fines they would be getting if Terrell Owens did the star dance when he did it at Dallas? That probably would have been a 6-digit fine.
Right.
Or when Dion used to do his walk into the end zone. What would that have cost? Would that have been a fine? Would you have allowed that? It's their pick and choose on what they celebrate and what they say is okay and what's a fine. I mean, I know a couple years ago when Dak Prescott lifted Zeke into the bucket on Thanksgiving, they said, "Oh, that's no fine," but that's using a prop.
Right.
You just fine Tyreek Hill for using a pom pom. So it kind of comes down to what are you even doing to make the league any better or make it that the young fans that are now going to grow into watching the game, are you going to make them want to sit here and say, oh, we're going to keep watching the game? You got to make it that the people want to keep watching games, and you have your parents wanting to have their kids watching the game and not be like, oh, well, it's a no fun league.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeremy, your thoughts on if this whole Flores situation does anything to Goodell?
I don't think so. I don't think he's touchable in that way. I mean, because it's the owners that control his fate. So why would the owners look at what Miami did or the Giants did and look to Goodell as a person to blame?
Right.
Like, how is he supposed to control that? Like, what does that have to really do with him? I mean, if there was other evidence that came out that he had something to do with it, fine. But I mean, could we really expect him to have done anything about this? Like, if the Miami owner is doing this, I think it's just Goodell's reaction. I think the reaction to Goodell is going to be the action he takes. If there's evidence, what is he going to do to Miami? What's the decision going to be? That's what he's going to be judged by. So, and the owners, you don't know. Are they going to, are they going to agree with whatever reprimands he puts in place, or are they going to disagree? Because they don't want to be it's a double-edged sword. They might say, oh, they should be punished harshly, but they don't want to be punished harshly if they're doing something wrong. Right. So it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword. You don't know, but he's making them so much money, and money talks and everything else walks, and he can be hated by everybody, and it doesn't matter because the NFL keeps making more and more money. And the owners look at it as like, why would I fix something that's not broken? Why would I take a chance? And why would we take away this guy and roll the dice with somebody else? It can cost us millions upon millions and millions of dollars. So, no, I don't think he's touchable.
Yeah, and he's starting to buy, especially at the draft, he's starting to buy into the booing. I mean, he came out, I forget if it was this past draft, he came out, they're booing him. He's like, come on, you can do better than that.
Yeah.
So, he does work for the owners. So, yeah, like Jeremy said, he's making them a boatload of money. So I don't see anything changing there. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I like kind of like you said, he's untouchable. I mean, unless all the owners came about and said, we don't want him here anymore, Roger Goodell, until he sits here and says, I want to retire, he will be around.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go on to our third topic here. We do have, I was hoping to get Payo Time, LA Rams YouTuber, to come on tonight, but he wasn't available. I am putting his channel information in the chat. So anybody that's there, check out Payo Time's channel. He's got the Rams in the Super Bowl here. But actually, let me add this picture. The teams tweeted out the uniforms that they were wearing. We'll do a show later on, more in depth next week about the Super Bowl. But guys, just on the surface, what are your thoughts of the Bengals Rams? And actually, even though the game's in LA, technically the Rams are the visiting team.
I wish they would have let them do like alternative uniforms. I think it would have been pretty cool. Like the Bengals is wearing their all orange, like a color rush kind of game.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they'd be cool to let them allow them for, if you make the Super Bowl, you worked all year long to get there. Let them have their own choice of uniforms. If they want to wear a 1980s retro jersey, so be it. Let them. Let the game be at their discretion of allowing it to wear. Obviously, you obviously have to go, well, we're going to use this uniform. We'll let the NFL say, okay, we'll approve it or not. Like, we're not going to allow you to wear some jersey that we don't want to see. But I mean, I think that would help the sales of jerseys go up and help the revenue of that game, the game go up, and then because you already might have a Cooper Cup jersey, you might already have the Joe Burrow jersey already. Oh, it's just another jersey. You just have to have the Super Bowl patch. I'm going to buy a $6 patch, sew it on.
Right.
Like 120, I think it's $150 for the Super Bowl jerseys. You could make a lot more money if they were using a jersey they haven't worn all year. So I think it would be cool. But other than that, I think it's pretty cool to see them both wearing the jerseys they are. I think it would have been better with the Rams wearing their blue jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it would be that they would be the home team. So I think that's why. But I think that in the end, jerseys are kind of what you're wearing. I mean, you're only remembered by what jersey you wear if you win the game.
Yeah, I mean, even if do you even remember what jersey was worn? If your team wins the Super Bowl, do you remember what color the jersey was that they had on? Probably not. Probably just caring about the fact that they won. Jeremy, any thoughts on the uniforms for the Super Bowl and the Rams being the visiting team?
Yeah, it's all just doesn't mean much to me. I've never been even with the Jets, like when they talk about new uniforms, I'm like the least interested person. I don't care, like I don't like when they do the throwback and the Jets wear that old Titans uniform.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like that either.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the Jets, but but other than that, I don't really care. Like other people go crazy about what colors we wear. I mean, as far as buying a jersey, I care. Like I like the Jets green on black. I think it's awesome, and I love it. My Elijah jersey, is like my favorite jersey. And home team, visiting team in the Super Bowl, don't really care. It just doesn't it doesn't affect me and the way I process and watch and enjoy the game. So.
Wrecked by Shadows. I know he's usually over on Peo's channel. He says, "Who has more yards, Cup or Chase in the Super Bowl?" I don't know. That's going to be a good one. I think. I looked at the defenses. Cincinnati is 26th against the pass, where the Rams are 22nd. So both teams are near the bottom of the league in allowing passing yards. So I could see both of these guys having a big game. As far as more yards, my guess would probably be Chase, because Chase I think is more likely to break a big play where a couple have more receptions. And Sean, any thoughts?
Can I say other?
Other? Okay. What's your guess?
Odell Beckham.
Odell Beckham.
Odell Beckham has over 150 yards, I think, in the Super Bowl, because they're going to put their two best guys on Cooper Cup. Eli Apple. Is it Eli Apple that got burned by Tyreek?
Yeah, I think it was Apple, yeah.
Yeah, the one that keeps running his mouth. I think he's going to get burned all game long, because they're not going to put him on Cooper Cup knowing the fact that Cooper Cup's going to be able to go around him if Tyreek can go around him and everyone else can go around him. So I think, honestly, Odell Beckham is going to see the most yards in this game, I think, over. And I don't think Chase has the most in the Bengals. I think T. Higgins will have the most in the Bengals uniform.
Yeah, Jeremy, now that Sean has added Higgins and who else did you add? Oh, OBJ.
OBJ.
Who do you think ends up with the most receiving yards in the Super Bowl?
Well, I was thinking that was going to be the problem for Cup right away. I was thinking, no, because OBJ is on fire right now. So it's just divided more and spread out more. I'm not so convinced on Cincinnati side. Like, I think Chase will have, out of the Bengals, I think Chase will have the most yards. So I was going to say Chase over Cup. I don't think it's impossible. I could see it be Higgins too. But I mean, if I was a betting person and I was going to bet on a horse, I would bet on Chase to have the most yards in this game.
Yeah. Justin says, I think the biggest thing is Bengals protecting Joe. I don't know. I know in the Tennessee game, he was sacked 9 times. And they still came out. Sean, what are you doing there?
10 times he's going to get sacked in the Super Bowl.
10 times in the Super Bowl.
10 times. Aaron Donald's going to break a Super Bowl record for the amount of times Joe Burrow gets sacked.
Wow. So he also says, and Stafford being consistent, that is big. Honestly, to me, that's bigger than protecting Burrow, because Stafford at the wrong times all year seemed to throw bad interceptions. But your guys' thoughts on Burrow and Stafford in the Super Bowl?
I think Stafford will be okay. I think more pressure is on the shoulders of Burrow. Second-year quarterback, I think he has more kind of nerves in this game, should I say, where Stafford's he hasn't been in a big game like this before in his career, but he's had the big games where it's kind of helped him become what he is as a quarterback. I don't think he's going to be – I can't say he's not going to be nervous. Obviously, he's both quarterbacks, first-time Super Bowl players, first time even going past the wild card round. But I think that Stafford will be more relaxed than what Burrow's going to be, as well as the Bengals. The Rams were in the Super Bowl 3 years ago, was it, I believe, or 4 years ago? So some of the players already have been on a Super Bowl on that team, so they know what it's like to be there. Where the Bengals, I don't think more than 5 players have been in a Super Bowl yet on that team.
Yeah. Before Jeremy has just let me know that he has to run. Jeremy, any thoughts on Stafford and Burrow? And give out your channel information as well before you head out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Stafford to have the bigger game just due to the fact that he's not going to be sacked nearly as many times as Burrow's going to be sacked. So that's going to make it very hard on him. So I'm NFL Chaos with Jeremy. That's my YouTube channel. Lots of fun mock drafts, lots of getting different guests to represent different teams, lots of football talk, lots of Jets talk, but also trying to mix in as much other teams as possible. It's a lot of fun. I'm a little bit crazy. That's why it's the Chaos. Just check it out.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again. And make sure I'll put the link in the description after the video. But guys, make sure you check out Jeremy's channel. Will you guys be streaming the Super Bowl?
We'll be on for at least a quarter. We're going to figure out what we're going to do. We're not going to do
good.
Yeah, so we're going to definitely do a special Super Bowl session,
nice.
Maybe an hour or something. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, all right. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
See you guys. So Sean, anything else on the Super Bowl here before we go to the next topic?
I think it's going to be more defensive oriented than what we expect. With Joe Burrow getting sacked a lot, I think the defensive line for the Rams is going to be feasting on that. And I think that the linebackers on the Bengals, they're so relentless and they're fast. I think that's going to force Stafford to have to throw the ball really quickly and a lot. That's why I think that where Odell Beckham's going to come into play more, because he's going to play more first down lines. He's going to play more within the 10-yard line, and that's going to help where Cooper Kupp's going to go more down the field and bigger plays. I think that's where it's going to come into play. I think where the Rams are going to play it in their advantage of how fast the Bengals team is on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, this has been our first episode of our new show, We Need to Talk. It'll be our off-season show. So there was no playoff game, or the regular season's definitely over, and the Super Bowl is not till next week. So we wanted to just give a little preview of what our show during the off season is going to look like. We still have some comments we haven't gotten to, so we didn't get to the Pro Bowl as well for the topics, but some of the things here, Sean, that people put on that maybe we'll take a deeper dive next week looking at, or even Sunday. On the topic of quarterbacks, if you're a Packers fan, are you disappointed with the Rodgers era? Just any quick thoughts on that? You don't have to go too in depth.
No, I know a Packers fan. I know 2 Packers fans that are diehard and everything. And, I mean, they are disappointed they didn't get more Super Bowls. But overall, every year you knew you were going to have a winning season. You knew you were going to be battling for the NFC North, and you knew you had a chance at being in the NFC Championship game almost every year. So me being a Vikings fan, if I knew I had that reliability for 15, 16 years, I'd take that all day just knowing that I was in the playoffs.
Yeah, agreed. But I'm actually going to take. I like that, Justin. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to take a little bit deeper dive into that. Maybe I'll. I know a couple of Packer fans as well. I'm sure one of them's the same person you know. So maybe I can get one of them to come on and actually talk about Aaron Rodgers and what they expect him to do if he'll be back or what they think. But Josh Smith came on as well and says. Man, I just heard on the Chiefs podcast that the Chiefs will probably have $65 million in cap space. That right now that would be crazy. Right now they're at $15 million in cap space for next year. So I know there's some moves they can make to free up some of that money, but they're definitely not, I don't think they'll get rid of Frank Clark, Tyreek Hill, or Anthony Hitchens. So to get rid of anybody else would cost them too much money this season. So, Sean, what are you thinking about? Any thoughts about the Chiefs maybe having close to $65 million in cap space? I think that I honestly don't think that's going to happen. They'd have to make a lot of cuts, and I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, I know Tyrann Mathieu already pretty much posted on social media his goodbyes to the Chiefs.
Right.
So I know he's going to end up being walking papers, and he'll get somewhere else. Other than that, I think where you're going to start seeing them make the cuts is running backs. I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, is the only one that's really their long-term running back. But other than that, you're going to see them get rid of some of the backups that are probably getting paid too much, and they're going to probably do is get rid of those kind of players, cut ties with them, and start working and getting new players into free agency. I think I wouldn't be shocked if you don't see the Chiefs a player in on Devontae Adams somehow.
Wow.
Because
man, hold on, I'm going to write that down because once we get into our off-season team by team looks, man, that'd be something if Adams ended up going to the Chiefs, wouldn't it?
he wants to be on a winning team, and what 4 teams right now can you guarantee out there that are going to have the cap space that can afford a Devontae Adams that are guaranteed to go to a Super Bowl if Aaron Rodgers doesn't return to Green Bay?
Well, now the Chiefs will not be one of those teams because he's saying he wants at least $30 million a season.
Yeah, but we throw 1 year at you, get you a 1 year contract, 1 year deal, and gives you a chance at playing for a Super Bowl, knowing that
that's true.
That's what you have. I mean, that's what I think it's going to come down to is when free agency comes about. I mean, I think March 19th is when free agency begins. So I think that after Super Bowl ends next week, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to start seeing this many people released, this person's released, and so on.
Right.
So I think that'll be the decision. I think, though, once Aaron Rodgers decides, he said by March 19th, he will say if he is or is not staying in Green Bay. I think when that comes out is when you'll start seeing the moves being made a lot.
Yeah, agreed. So, yeah, Sean, this was a little bit different for us this week, just going topic by topic. What'd you think of the layout, and what are you looking forward to in the offseason the most?
I just think I'm most looking forward in the offseason is all the stuff we've been working on. I think to get the interaction with a lot of people and the different fan bases, I think that'll help a lot overall, and seeing all the work that we've put into it and to get the people to want to interact and even talk about their best teams and their favorite teams.
Yeah, there's some guys I'm trying to get to come on the show. One's an Eagles fan, one's a Raiders fan, and one's a Giants fan. So some different aspects coming up. If we can get some of these guys, one of the things we didn't bring up that we'll save for next week. Washington has officially changed their name to the Washington Commanders. we'll also talk about this on Sunday. But any thoughts on the name? I don't like it. And I mean, they're keeping the same colors. If you're going to do a whole rebrand, why not start over? What are you laughing at?
I think I think I sent you the photo yesterday, and it said that what is your chance going to be? And I think one of them was "Go Commandos, go," and it's just I don't know. There's no right way to say this, but this was a worse than the Washington football team.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I would rather be called a football team than being called the Commanders. I mean, if you're going to make your team name Commanders, I mean, then you got to be one to dominate your division, and Washington hasn't done that since the 90s. So
now here, looking at the picture, I know they have the maroon uniform, the white uniform, and it looks like it's black. It almost kind of like the Steelers. And then the logo's on the front of the helmet. So I wonder if that's just a different placement of the logo, or if that's a completely different helmet.
It's the black helmet has it on the front.
So it is going to be a black helmet and not the maroon.
The other two helmets, like you say, you pretty much just said, it looks like a Pittsburgh Steelers helmet. They have a logo on one side and a number on the other side.
Yep.
So you're pretty much, you just stole from other teams on what you wanted your uniforms to look like. And if you look at the numbers more in depth, the numbers kind of look like the front one, the one in the Chase Young one in front there kind of looks like the LA Rams uniform, where it's one solid color and then the back black one, it looks like the Rams uniform where they have Rams on the uniform, like you were wearing for the Super Bowl. It has where it says Rams on the shoulder. So it's kind of like, what did they do? Copy and paste other teams' uniforms and say, all right, we're gonna use your guys' stuff. I don't know. I kind of want to see what do the players have to say that are on that team. Are they going to be happy with it? I know Chase Young came out and said before the name was ever released, and said that they asked him what he thought about the Commanders being the name, and he said it's a big fat F in his book. And if you got players that are grading your team name as an F, what makes you think they sit there and say that maybe they don't want to play us or us?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think they got this wrong. There were some other names that were available that would have been better. And I'm sorry, if you're going to come up with a name, come up with a logo instead of just a W. I mean, if you're keeping the W, like you said, just keep the Washington football team name.
Well, they even changed the logo. They added different lines to the logo. They made it more in depth to 2022. Well, I guess they think they're winning.
I mean, that's going to be the most W's they see all year, is right there on their helmet. So,
hey, maybe they can get Jameis Winston there to come eat dubs with them.
Maybe. So this was good. I didn't know what to expect on doing a show when we didn't have games to talk about. But our stream, we're up to an hour and 15 minutes here. So your thoughts and what is going on in the NFL this week?
I don't even know what's going on in the NFL anymore, because there's just so much controversy happening with Flores this week. Washington announcing their name the week prior to a Super Bowl. Tom Brady retired. I mean, that's a lot of big impactful things happening in 1 week, and we're not even at the Super Bowl yet. So I mean, all this stuff kind of pushed media for the Super Bowl kind of like under the rug, and it's kind of weird to say that, like, there's no big talk about the Super Bowl happening. It's Flores. Washington announced their name. Brady retires. I mean, I kind of like what Aaron Rodgers first off said coming out. I'm going to wait until after the Super Bowl before free agency, and I will announce my decision. I don't like that Tom Brady announced it before the Super Bowl. I would have rather him, and same with Ben Roethlisberger, I would have rather them wait until after the Super Bowl before free agency, kind of let the teams that are working hard to be in the Super Bowl be about them. And now the week prior to the Super Bowl, and every news article and sports article is Tom Brady era this, Tom Brady era that. So it's kind of like you took the spotlight away from the teams that are in the Super Bowl, because you don't really hear about the Rams or you don't hear about the Bengals very much. I mean, other than their fan bases, you don't really hear from them, and I think that's kind of wrong.
Yeah, agreed. So we'll be back on Sunday. I don't have topics lined up yet for Sunday, but we'll keep doing this. I like this format. It makes things interesting, keeps us on point too. So, guys, make sure you hit that subscription button. Plenty of content coming out besides our live streams, especially for the off-season stuff. So I already started working on projections for next year as well. So we'll be getting into that after the draft. So Sean, thanks again for doing this with me, and enjoy the week of actually no meaningful football. We do have the Pro Bowl, but enjoy.
That's meaningful.
That is not meaningful unless you're playing in the game and get cash. Both teams get cash, so it doesn't really matter. But so we'll be back Sunday at noon. Enjoy the week off of the NFL, meaningful games, and we'll be back on Sunday to talk more about the Super Bowl and whatever other topics come up in the NFL. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment, and we'll see you on Sunday.
See you on Sunday, guys.